Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Just bear with me one sec, guys. I'm just going to pull this up on my phone so I can see all your comments. Buddy, welcome, welcome. There we go. Great to be live with you for our first roundtable. How exciting! Bear with me one sec, guys. I'm just going to pull this up. Okay, everyone, please mute in the background. Thank you, all of my roundtable participants. Great, awesome. Just to ensure we don't get any of that background noise. Okay, everyone's muted. Great, awesome. So great to be here with you all. I hope that you guys tuned in and caught some of the beautiful opening ceremony that David and Karen beautifully facilitated. My name is Tash Ashwin. I'm the CEO and founder of Ashwin Publishing. And Ashwin Publishing's fourth book is Warriors of Light, Leaders of the Great Awakening. So I'm so excited to be here and facilitating this incredible week-long launch portal with you. And then as we move into the summit, the Light Warriors Summit that's taking place in early September, you are here because you've been invited into this beautiful collective of like-minded souls as we initiate some really important conversations and really get this ball rolling, these conversations rolling around what does it mean to be a leader of the Great Awakening? What does it mean to be a warrior of light? How can we shift the consciousness of the planet at this precise time in history? I mean, let's take a few minutes to recognize just how much everything has shifted in the last few years, right? So much has happened. And I'm so excited to be facilitating this opportunity for you to hear from all of the authors behind Warriors of Light, absolute thought leaders in their own right, people, men and women who are doing amazing, amazing work. We have such a wide variety of authors and who are speakers at this roundtable launch portal, and then you'll get an opportunity to learn from them in the summit in early October as well. So we have 20 authors behind Warriors of Light. And when I wanted to share just a little bit about this title and the energy of this book, as I did a little bit in the introduction video, but let's do it live because it's important. It's a really important aspect. So this is our fourth multi-author collaborative book. And when I was tuning in to the title of this one, I knew it was going to be a big one. I knew it had like big planetary vibes. That was like the first thing that I got. And then when the title dropped in, Warriors of Light, I really sat with it for a while because I wasn't sure if that would be the appropriate title. And the reason for that is I have seen a lot of conversation in the online space and the spiritual space recently in the last kind of couple of years around how it's all just love and light. You know, it seems like this sort of spiritual bypassing that has happened. And my experience over the last few years has been that it's not all love and light. And in fact, there is great shadow that is operating, that kind of counteracts the light as well. And as we step into this time, this very, very powerful energetic portal that we are literally stepping into right now, what I've experienced and what I've noticed is that the darkness, it comes to the light. And so for me, being a warrior of light is someone who is able to hold their light in the face of darkness, hold their light in the face of uncertainty, hold their light and anchor that light in the face of change. So all of these people who've stepped forward, to amazing authors who've stepped forward to co-author this book, all have a very unique opinion on what it means to be a warrior of light and how that energy shows up in their business, in their service, in their mission, and in the movement that they are here to facilitate for the planet. I believe, my personal opinion, is that if you are alive at this precise point in history, doing transformational work, whether that's personal transformational work or external transformation work, excuse me, you know, with your clients, with the world, then you are a leader of the Great Awakening and you are here to facilitate epic change. So I'm going to take a minute. I'm recovering from COVID at the moment, so just bear with me one sec. Throat chakra activations. We're here for our roundtable number 1, and the topic is activating planetary awakening. So I see that there's 16 people live. Please don't be shy. It would be awesome for you to say hello. If you're new to this Facebook, obviously all of you are new to this Facebook group. If you are new to me and to Ashwin Publishing, please say hi so that we know who you are and so that you are able to like energetically tap into the frequency of this launch portal. We really encourage interaction. We want to get to know you. We would love to hear more about your mission and the movement that you are here to facilitate at this precise time in history. So please don't be shy. And in particular, today we're talking all about activating planetary awakening. So I'm going to hand it over to who am I going to go with first? Let's go with the beautiful Natalie. I'd love to hear, Natalie, a little introduction from you, and then your personal opinion and your perspective on what it means to actually activate planetary awakening. So if you want to unmute yourself and share some of that, go for it.
Thank you, Tash, and thank you everybody for being here and joining us. This is such an amazing portal to be in. And I'm sure you're going to receive some incredible golden nuggets from this. So my name is Natalie Brown, and I'm a light worker activator, initiating light leaders here to step into your full divine expression of your magic and your medicine and your gifts, and really shining your light out, your authentic light out to the world. And that's what I love to do. I think activating the planetary awakening, those words hold so much. It has so much behind that. But the main thing for me is activating the world to what is the truth. What is your truth? What is this profound, aha moments? What is landing for you? What is making sense to you? How can you anchor in your light authentically in this world? And it's about us as light workers shining our light in a truthful way so that we can activate those people that are ready to be activated, and that's ready to really hear the call from their soul to, step forward and do things in a different way. So yeah, that just in short is what comes to mind.
Yeah, because it's not an easy path in many ways, is it? And that's definitely what I think everyone here can probably agree, that when we choose to step into this path where we are, doing our own inner work to clear the shadows and ascend our own consciousness, and then taking that further, actually casting that out into the world, it's not an easy path at all. And who feels really called to speak to that? Is there anyone here who's like, yes, my journey hasn't been easy, but I can see the fact that it's been divinely orchestrated, and that the path has really guided you beautifully to where you are right now? Who feels really called to jump in and share? Yes, Sophie, go for it. And if you want to just do a quick introduction, darling.
Hi, my name is Sophie, and my introduction. I've been on the path of healing for a very long time, and through that path, I've found multiple modalities that help us work through things. The path for me, I feel like I've been challenged with different type of diseases and imbalances and blockages to then put me in a situation where I need to learn that, explore that, which is all connected to different parts of the female body and the female organs and how we show up in this world. So that has led me and put me in a situation now where I can see that in other women as well, and I can talk from a place of actually been there myself, and that is one of my things that I've been through up until this time, and now I'm finding a way to help ease those blockages and heal diseases and all of that through mainly the practices of Kundalini yoga. Yeah.
It is like the body is the final stop, isn't it? And like if it's going to show up in the body, if it's going to show up anywhere. Steph, did you want to jump in and comment to that?
Yeah, I'd love to speak to that too, Tash, your point around it not being an easy journey, but knowing it's all divinely orchestrated. So hello, everybody out there tuning in with us. I'm Stephanie Lavelle. Yeah, I'm so stoked to be here. I'm a Genius Activation and Embodiment Master, and life has not always been easy. And when Tash, when you're speaking at the beginning about knowing that the dark comes to the light, and they work in tandem, and that has definitely been my life adventure. That's what I like to call it these days. And I can see that every single time I chose to face the dark, learn from it, and deepen into my knowing of who I am. And like Natalie mentioned, share my truth, the gifts and my ability to then awaken planetary change and, I want to say, impact the frequency of this planet and personally my own life, and therefore my children's life, has been profound. And, you know, the last few years for me, but specifically the last 18 months, there's no doubt that every time I've chosen to step closer to who I am and actually show up more authentically, that the world's benefited from that, and that the planet does change, and I do activate a deeper level of awakening throughout consciousness because of my own ability and my own willingness to go there and to face the challenge, to face the darkness and learn to love it. And for me, you know, a big piece of what I do with clients is, and I do work primarily with women, open to working with men, but it just is that women are attracted to me. So that's where I go. You know, it is around, for me, it's this understanding that I operate in equal parts grace and ruthlessness. And for me, that is the embodiment of our feminine. And that when that shines through from a woman, you become magnetic and you create fucking epic, like, ripples of change across this planet that people want to be a part of. So I think that that is, that's the power of being willing, you know, like Sophie said, to actually meet yourself and explore, like, what's going on here for me, why, and then learn from that and show up in a deep level of authenticity. But for me, it always comes from that level of grace and ruthlessness, knowing who I am and ruthlessly abiding and upholding my values, but doing it from a place of grace. I used to do it from a place of fucking anger and fury, and it was all fight, you know, and my God, that's exhausting. So to now be in this beautiful place of balance, and trust that it is all in divine timing is, and divinely orchestrated, is really a beautiful place to be.
I love that, Steph. Equal parts grace and ruthlessness. And I heard recently that, you know, the etymology of the word grace, it actually stems from, you know, being touched by the grace of God, the grace of source, the grace of the universe, the grace of great spirit, whoever, whatever term you want to input there. And it is balancing that, right? That real graciousness, like God-given graciousness, with that like human ruthlessness. You know, it's like, I'm going to do what I know I need to do in order to get the results and the outcomes and the shift the trajectory that I desire. And that often comes from our embodiment, when we actually, you know, move through trauma and do the inner work and like have the courage to sit in the shit and feel it and process it and be vulnerable with it. Like, that full embodiment, in my experience and my perspective, comes when we have the courage to do that, right? Absolutely. And so I'm sure there's so many of you here who have, in a sense, quote unquote, found your power in a moment of darkness. And it doesn't always have to be that, but we live in a world of duality where we do have light and dark. And it is very much what we are seeing right now in terms of what's playing out on the global stage. And, you know, I very much believe we are standing at a crossroads of two different timelines, the timeline of love and the timeline of fear, the Great Awakening and the Great Reset. And I'm going to actually go there and say it, right? Because, you know, sometimes on Facebook we're like, oh, don't want to speak it, I might get censored. But no, that's not what we're here to do in this launch portal. And this book, Warriors of Light, has come through so firmly, so strongly, so powerfully with powerful warrior energy, you know? And so at this precise point in history, what does it mean to shift the trajectory, to activate planetary awakening, and to shift to the timeline of the Great Awakening? And I'm going to go over to David now, because, oh, Jules, you want to respond to that? Go for it. Feel free to unmute yourself, darling. And a little introduction as well.
Hi, everybody. So nice to be here today. Super excited. I'm pumped. So I'll introduce myself first. So I'm Jules Stone McLeod. So I work with different spiritual technologies. I'm a Reiki master of 5 lineages. And I also do the crystalline technology program, which is my own modality, and I also work with the codal system, which is also my own modality. And so speaking into planetary activation, so one of the programs that I do with crystalline technology is actually support people to step out of the cycle of healing. Because I found for years I was just cycling around in the healing space, working with different modalities, and I found I'd have like slight shifts, and it'd be one step forward, and then it'd be 2 steps back, and I felt like I was back in the shit and back in the darkness, and I'd have awarenesses and epiphanies, but I didn't really feel like I was stepping beyond just that healing space, that cycle of healing. And so what I do is support people to really just step out of that whole cycle, which is a massive activation. It's an upgrade from the chakra system to the crystalline system. So their DNA has a recalibration to crystalline, and their chakras from the throat down to the root become dissolved. They still keep their third eye and their crown and all of their transpersonal chakras, but it's a massive shift in consciousness. And so, yeah, I guess I just work with really supporting people to shed everything that they're not, really shed their old identity. And it is a massive purging as well, because, I mean, not only are they shifting a whole energetic system that they've had their entire lives, but it's also generational and ancestral, because they've all had the chakra system as well. So it's a massive release. So yeah, many people get physically sick, or they have these like emotional, meltdowns, because it's a massive purge. But then on the other side of that is this massive recalibration of their DNA. So yeah, it's super exciting. And it's the shifts that people are having are then rippling out to people around them, raising the consciousness of the planet. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey.
I'd love to know, Jules, what's the vision for you that you believe is possible? And we will touch on this in more detail inside. We actually have a whole roundtable dedicated to this topic. I believe it's on Wednesday or Thursday. I'm sorry, I don't remember off the top of my head, but that's on frequencies of ascension. So we're really going to be talking about like getting into the nitty gritties of the energetics that are supporting this. But Jules, I'd love it if you could just like high level vision for what you believe is possible if the planet truly did. And you say you believe the downloads you've had is that we are naturally moving into that crystalline state. What do you feel is possible when we do that, when we all acclimate and calibrate to that higher level? Or to that, is it a higher level or is it more of a different level? How do you?
Well, I mean, it's a higher frequency.
High frequency, yeah.
But yeah, it's not hierarchical, as in there's no hierarchy higher and lower, but it is a higher frequency. But yeah, what's possible is joy, love, peace, unity, oneness, just feeling super high vibrational and actually living lives that step outside of slavery, and actually being able to live life instead of just surviving life.
It's really shifting from like surviving into thriving, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll pop to Natalie in a sec. I just want to, what's dropping in for me is I feel like, you know, this is the natural course that we are taking, the evolution of the planet. And at the same time, as we're like moving towards this, like, not what's the word I'm looking for, you know, like nexus point almost, this is when we're going to see the most like aggravation of the old, right? And I had a really powerful analogy that dropped in years ago for me when I was like, I guess, anticipating what's happening. And that was, it's like the final death throes of the dying beast. And I feel that's what we're living through at the moment. That's what we're experiencing, you know, like the final death throes, the final attempts to hold on to control, where what's happening is actually is part of the evolutionary plan. Natalie, what would you like to say in regards to that?
Yeah, I totally agree. We have to be restructured, but what we're actually doing is we are returning to our natural blueprint, our blueprint of God, holding the Christ codes, crystalline codes. And this is so amazing as we are peeling away, as we are shattering old paradigms and old belief systems. It's like we are returning back to our God codes, our Christ codes. And so there is all these beautiful technologies that's supporting our ascension path and our remembrance of who we actually are as these incredible beings of light and of love, but also living in our human skin and our human vessel, and really rebalancing and bringing this beautiful balance of humanness and divinity and merging it all together. And this is what Spirit, you know, has said many times over, that we are learning how to be divine beings in physical form and how to really work with our bodies. And it's totally true what Jill said. We are not going to have any specific chakra systems anymore. We are one beautiful light body that's working in co-creation with all of these different energies. We're connecting to all that is. And that all that separation that we're feeling and that we have felt, and you know, all the ancestral pain and all of that is no longer going to be an issue anymore. We are moving out of this phase of really, like you said, Jules, of healing and feeling like we need to heal all the time and get better all the time. And we're going to move into the state of profound evolution as humanity, where we have the ability to just be in this space and co-create with the earth and create beautiful things. And it's exciting. It's super exciting times to be in.
It's incredibly exciting times, isn't it? It truly is. And yeah, I feel like we're all very blessed and privileged to be here. I know there's certainly times, you know, when we hold both dualities of being in the human body and dealing with all of the three-dimensional issues that come with being in a body, at the same time as connected to your spirit, your higher self. I know there's times when I've certainly felt like, fucking get me off this planet. Why have I said yes to being here? I have had enough. Like, take me home. And I called that feeling cosmic homesickness. And I sat with that feeling for quite a long time of like, I don't belong here. I don't want to be dealing with, you know, the intensity of being in the third density. And then we move into the higher frequency perspective of, well, actually, I chose to be here and I chose to operate and, you know, play out this experience here for a very divinely guided reason. David, I wanted to move over to you, and if you wanted to share a little bit about who you are and your thoughts, what's being activated for you as we talk about this.
Yes, thank you, Tash. I'm Devita Mai. I facilitate heart portal activation and divine chromosomes activation in our DNA for ascension. And yeah, I agree with Natalie that we don't really need to do much, because the healing, it's like it could be never ending, you know, because there's so many thousands of years of, you know, like chaos. But what we can do is activate our hearts so that we can embody our true selves, our soul frequency. And I feel like this is what we came to do in this lifetime, is to really bring in all these codes of light, of remembrance from higher dimensions, so that we can recreate the earth in a higher frequency. And so this is what I facilitate, that connection to the heart, and really focusing your time and your energy into connecting to that higher aspect of yourself. Because this other, you could say, the lower self, or like the person that experienced all the trauma, or that inherit all the ancestral woundings and all of this, it's automatically going to be released as you embody your light. So as you embody, it comes out naturally. It's like this frequency just cleans and transmutates everything back to the light, and all that you reminds the knowledge that you experience from this, right? And so the more we focus on really connecting with the true self, with our heart frequency, the easier it gets. That we don't get stuck in the drama of our own mind, that it's repeating stories or saying you are this, you are that, or you come from these hardships. And it's like you can really see this from the light of your soul, and it's even the trauma are like a blessing. You can experience from the heart. You can experience this as, wow, thanks to this, I can open my heart much more. I can experience much more my abundance and my love for everyone. So I feel it's at this time of transition, that there's a lot going on, and in our minds, it's like madness. We're trying to make sense of all of this that we're experiencing. We do experience a pain and fear, but then when you get out of that mind zone, or the ego zone, or the wounded person, that's everyone's story, the wounded person, and you really drop into your heart, you're like, oh, everything is working out perfectly. We're like so blessed. We're receiving all this love energy, light energy from the whole universe, like all these light beings, the galactic beings, angelic beings, our star families, our selves, our souls are pouring so much blessings and love, and like this is all amazing, and it's really about tuning into that, and the more we are in that space, we can bring it in and hold it and create that reality, like our everyday reality, where there's no longer suffering or duality. We're experiencing reality as a projection of our own light, and then it gets fun. I feel like it gets super fun, that we are creating and co-creating with everyone else, and it's just fun to meet with everyone and create and co-create, just kind of like the experience we're doing here as authors of this book. It's like, wow, it's super fun energy. We're creating something beautiful together, and I think this is the heart frequency, to create fun things together and see the beauty all around us, and not focus anymore in the pain, in the struggle, and and this is something we can remind each other, and that's the beauty to it. That as we share with other people, we can hold more and more this frequency. So I really like to facilitate groups, where we can together have that routine of like connecting to our hearts, and then we can speak from our hearts, not longer from our minds, from our trauma, but really from that frequency that we're bringing in, and then we can empower ourselves in that frequency. We can all see that, wow, everybody's co-creating this beautiful new reality, and yeah, that's really my call at this point, to do that embodiment myself and share that. And the more I share, I feel like the more I embody as well. It's like both ways.
Absolutely. It's in the expressing and the stepping in of your power as well that it kind of embodies it on such a deeper level. And I love what you said there, David, around, you know, like stepping out of the struggle. I mean, even when we are experiencing, for example, like grief, right? The death of a loved one, the death of someone incredibly close to us. And that grief can often feel like your world is being pulled apart, you know? It's like the depth of grief that you never really even thought was possible to feel. But then there's also the other side to that, which is actually like that grief is the expansion of your heart in a way that is potentially more expanded, cracked wide open than it has ever been before. And so there's always the two sides, right? The two sides, because like, as we've spoken about, life in this reality, it is full of intensity. And it doesn't mean that every day is going to be a joyous, synchronistic flow, although it can be, absolutely. You know, we still have days when, like this morning for me, you know, when like we had children awake at 4 a.m. and exhausted and crying, and relationships stretched to their max, and everyone just like pushed to their max. And obviously it was like in those moments, I'm like, okay, preparing for a really big week ahead. Like, how can I ground and hold that at the same time as stepping into that higher frequency? It's a challenge. It can be very overwhelming and intense, but it is totally possible. I'd love to pop over to Kirsty and hear, Kirsty, your opinion on this, because I know this is alive for you as well.
Thanks, Tash. Hi, everyone. My name's Kirsty Bednar. I'm a naturopath. So I suppose my role in this activating of planetary awakening is really being in that grounded, practical aspect of the human body, you know, that we are human beings, we are in the physical realm. So it's really maximizing that. And I tend to help really people master their own health, be their own expert. So it's really around that education, empowerment of helping people to want to make those changes, not because, you know, they should or it's healthy, but it's actually their health becomes, you know, a really high value for them. But what I found that leads to, and all this has come about from my own health challenges since I was a child, and it took me until, you know, I was about 20 to start finding the reasons for what was going on for me. And then this became my whole career path and mission. But yeah, I grew up with lots of physical challenges and taking lots of pharmaceuticals, you know, treating things, suppressing my ailments and symptoms and so on. And once I got out of that pattern and became aware of other means to keep my body healthy and to overcome things, what I found was so important was that all of these artificial synthetic chemicals, you know, whether it be simple pharmaceutical drugs, whether it be more heavy duty drugs, whether it be, you know, drugs we use to suppress our feelings, to deal with life, excessive alcohol, processed food, you know, all the stuff we do to, I guess, help change the way we feel. You know, so it's all the destructive, I guess, practices that we do to help us deal with life, help us deal with the way we feel. Once those things are kind of removed out of our physical being, you know, it's such a dichotomy or paradox, isn't it, that we do these things to help feel better, but yet when we get them all out of the way, that's when we truly feel better and we truly can connect to our higher selves, to source energy, is what I believe. And so through working with people physically, I really believe that opens them up spiritually. So it's, you know, that's just my method, because that's been my path, and I feel like I helped to master that physical journey, but it's not just the physical journey, you know, it's utilizing all aspects. It's seeing that everything is connected, but if we don't have that clean, pure, healthy body, you know, we've got so many blocks to then seeing the truth. So I feel like when we're in that really amazing space of getting rid of all that crap, you know, and that, you know, there's so much stuff, you know, in our environment. So I really help to people, you know, detox from that, find other ways of helping the body to heal. And it's not just about not suffering any symptoms, any ailments. It's seeing it in a different way. It's being able to use the illness, the symptoms that we have as a guide, as an indicator as to maybe where we're out of balance. So I find, I really find it's about, we all have certain challenges that we come here with, you know, physically, and we don't have to fully get rid of those. But I'm finding in practice what that does, it just, when things flare up, it shows us that, okay, we've got to step back, we've got to get more rest, we've got to get more sleep, we've got to do the physical things, you know, to keep us in balance, so our minds, our spirits, our hearts can open, can be more present, can be functioning at a high level. You know, we want to be functioning at a high level. So I find those physical practices to master, and the way I do that with people is really finding out what's individual to them. You know, it's not sort of this overall general approach of, yes, there's lots of things we all could do that's going to benefit everybody, but it's really tailoring that to the individual person and what their needs are, and helping them to understand their own bodies. So, you know, that's through, you know, DNA profiling, that's through iridology, that's through various, you know, testing of the way their cells, the way their gut microbiome is, all the things that make them up. It's helping them to understand that, to then better access their source. So that's probably where I see that planetary awakening, and being and leading by example. Like, I really feel you need to be walking your talk, you know, practicing what you're teaching, and I feel like I really embody that, and that sort of being that example, I guess, of mastering that sort of physical side, also sort of transpires through into sort of every other aspect as well. And I really find the people that stay with me, they really open up, they really change their mindset, their spiritual outlook. So much changes. Like, it's amazing from that physical side. Yeah, that's what I bring.
Yeah, really powerful. And I completely agree with you there in regards to the body. You know, my understanding and the message, the guidance that I've received for a while now is that, you know, the body is like an antenna. It is an antenna. And we receive our guidance, our you know, our support through the body, through the energy centers, you know, through the field. But at the final place is the body, right? So it makes a lot of sense that depending on the integrity of the body and the health of the body, it does, you know, either limit or amplify our capacity to activate planetary consciousness, activate our own consciousness, expand our own consciousness, and then support the activation of others in that space as well. And I think the key word here that's coming up quite a bit is the word integrity. You know, when we are in full integrity within ourselves, that's when we really step in, whether that's physical integrity or emotional integrity, spiritual integrity. Are you honoring your word and your commitments to yourself first and foremost? Because if you're not, that's when the universe mirrors that back. And my experience, you know, prior to doing publishing, well, at the same time as doing publishing, I also work in business strategy, and I support soulful entrepreneurs to grow their business using a whole variety of different methods. But I've always said that your business will be a reflection of what's happening within you internally. So if you're attracting the wrong kind of clients, or the wrong, you know, challenging clients, like what's going on internally that makes you not a match for the higher frequency of people that you desire to call in. If you in your sales are hearing a lot of like, I can't afford it, or, you know, I don't have the time, like a lot of reoccurring objections, well, what's happening within you? Where are you playing out old money stories? Where are you being indecisive? Where are you not managing your time? And I know this plays out in health, it plays out in every single aspect, right? Because we are multidimensional beings, and the different dimensional aspects of our entire life feed into the reality that we are actively creating, right? We are creating the reality that we are living into right now. And I want to go over to Steph, because I know, Steph, you can speak really powerfully into this, into living intentionally and like bringing that high state of integrity into everything that you do.
Oh, I was just listening. I was literally listening to Kirsty and you talk. I was like, oh my God, I need to speak. No, I wasn't thinking that at all. I'm thinking, oh my God, you women are fucking amazing. This is so good. because yeah, for me, that is what it's all about. And I loved listening to Kirsty speak about, you know, she's very intentional in terms of the physical reality that she helps people establish, you know, within their lives and within their own health and within their own being. And I know for me, one thing that comes up a lot, and as you know, Tash, a big piece of what I work with women is around intentional living. It is, for me, one of, well, if not that and radical self-responsibility are probably the absolute keys to living the life that you were incarnated to be living, especially at this point in time in the scope of reality. So when I think about activating planetary awakening, a couple of things that come to mind for me in a big way is intentional living. And, you know, for me, every time I channel a genius for somebody, it never ceases to amaze me how fucking phenomenal people are. And majority of the time, I've got no idea. They don't even realize like how epic they are, how absolutely sublime the purpose, like the mission that they've been given as a soul in this body on this planet at this point in time really is. And then the other thing that really feeds into that for me, and in terms of activating planetary awakening, is not only opening those women up or those men to go, wow, this is what I was birthed for, this is amazing. But then the links between people, like I cannot tell you the amount of geniuses I've delivered, and I deliver it and I'm like, oh, they link to this other person and this other person and this other person. So connection and community for me in my work is also huge, which then feeds into intentionality, right? So you've got to show up, like you said, Tash, with that level of integrity that then creates that desire for others to go, I want to work with you. I see how this works now. We are phenomenal together. We all need each other. We've all got to come to this party with intention, with integrity, taking radical self-responsibility to be able to raise the frequency of the earth. And as Natalia and Jules were speaking about, coming back to those Christ codes, you know, tapping into that crystalline energy to receive from Christ consciousness, trusting in masculine power right there as a feminine being of receivership, to go, this is what I'm open to receiving, and then be able to birth this out in the world. What does that then look like when I intentionally create my life? How does that want to be delivered and expressed out into the world as this divine goddess that I fucking am? You know, these, that all you women are, like, or the fucking phenomenal men, you know, these masculine, oh man, I can't even tell you how much I love the masculine. Like, I just cannot even put it into words. So, you know, there's men out there, the same thing. They are here and they have this humongous role to support the genius. We've all got this genius that intertwines. And ultimately, as Natalie speaks about a lot, you know, I love her work because she says all the time, it's all about coming back to that love. You know, David said it too, coming back to that heart. And that's what we're all here for, yes. But what's our unique perspective on that? And like Kirsty said, hers is through naturopath because that's her journey. You know, and for me, I see myself, I was listening to you all speak and I had this really beautiful vision, and I can clearly see where I sit in the world. And I know Shay Fairley will be able to resonate with this, another beautiful co-author of this book, because I can see where I am, like this beautiful bridge. You know, I speak to the galactics. I can tap into these fucking etheric brilliance and receive all of that. But I am so capable of being in space with the people and supporting people as well that are really embodied in this earth. They're really embodied in showing up in the physical, exactly how it's, you know, delivered for them from the etheric realms. So, you know, that guidance, and this is the piece about intentional living for me. It's like, you can have all the guidance in the world. You could be the greatest channel of whatever. But unless you can take that guidance and go, okay, how do I then embody that and live it in this world and express it to give back to the planet in some way, even if that is purely your intention is to give back to your life, because we all know that ripples change, right? Then all of the greatness in terms of being connected energetically, being able to channel anything, et cetera, like it's lost without the ability for those of us that need to embody it. But again, that's how we can work together. So some of us are really great at the embodiment. Others are really fucking powerful at being connected energetically and receiving the downloads, all of that. So it's like, how do they link in? How do we all then work together to support these downloads that are received onto Earth to then ripple the actual physical change that this planet needs and that our existence needs, without them being lost, right? Without that guidance just, filtering off into nowhere, because maybe it's received and it's not able to be fully embodied by that being, that's not their role in this incarnation, but it possibly is going to be shared with someone that they can then enact it in the physical. So, I could keep speaking for ages, but I feel like I'll give someone else a chance to speak.
It's really where the rubber meets the road, isn't it?
Yeah.
We can talk and journal and channel and fucking, do it all. But if we're not taking any action, real life action, then what? Then nothing changes if nothing changes.
Nothing changes. Right? Yeah.
Jules?
And then what legacy then do we leave the world?
Exactly.
What's our legacy? Yeah.
Jules, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I noticed a common theme between Kirsty, Natalie, and Steph, all about, so as we do remember who we are and step into a living, breathing expression of God, as we move into the higher frequencies, that there's such a theme around co-creation. Mm-hmm. And it's not only co-creation with the earth and with each other, but it's actually co-creating with our human.
Yes.
And also co-creating with our star families. So bringing it down, bringing it up, and then embodying it to be able to co-create with each other.
Sophie, I'm going to pop over to you. I'd love to hear what's alive for you in this conversation, and like in terms of like bringing the two, the earthly, the grounded earthly and the expansive universal together. Like, what does that speak? What does that speak to you of?
Well, I can really relate to Kirsty about the physical embodiment of working through your physical vessel and clearing that to be able to, like Steph saying, co-create with others and also more easily receive that help. The connection, I haven't really been doing those type of journeys yet. I'm really excited to step into that. But what's been coming up for me through these discussions is to trust in the authenticity of yourself as well, and showing up authentically, and trust that if everyone is actually doing that, the world that will be created is the world that's meant to be created. If you follow through and do what someone else tells you to do that goes against what your passion is and what you feel like you're supposed to be doing here, there might not be that world that's created that's actually meant to be created. So trust in that if we just follow that passion, that intuition, and showing up, the world that will be created is the one that's meant to be.
I love that so much. It's the passion, but it's also like being vulnerable with where you're at, being real, sharing of yourself. Like, I think gone are the days, and maybe we're all still processing a lot of these old school codes around, strong woman, independent woman, has to do it all on her own, can't look weak, has to be strong all the time. I know for me, I've shed a lot of that, but it still kind of rears its head every now and then, And it is about like letting that shit go, because it doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't serve the planet and the healing of the planet and the ascension of consciousness if we're all walking around pretending that we've all got our shit together and we don't. It's a really powerful way to, to forge connection, to open at the heart. And when we are really stepping into that space of vulnerability and vulnerable grace, like to be really in that state of grace, it is a vulnerable space to be, because we're in full surrender mode. We are in full receivership mode, guided by the grace of God, right? Not penetrating with our own willpower, but like truly allowing ourselves to receive guidance and then having the trust to act on that. Jules?
Yeah, just speaking into what you were saying, it's interesting. I used to think that I was actually serving other people to please them and to stay small and to tiptoe around them so I didn't trigger them. But once I realized that triggering people purely just by walking in my own truth is a massive gift to them, so much shifted, because people need to be triggered in order to look at themselves and shed stuff and really become in alignment with their own truth. So it's such a gift to the planet when we're walking in our truth.
Natalie, go for it. That's so true, Jules. 100%.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Jules. That's amazing. We are in the age of sovereignty. That's what we're here to do, right? Come back to being sovereign beings and knowing that we do have the power. We do hold the love and the power and all the things that we need and want and desire and require within us. It all comes back to us, our body messenger. What is our body messenger saying to us? How can we listen more deeply to what we want, right? And then act upon that. That's Universal Laws 101. How do you manifest? First, the thought is created, emotions follow, and then you take action. It manifests in that way. But it is really about, how do you want to live your life as a sovereign being? Are you going to let other people choose for you? Are you going to let the government choose for you? Are you going to let, yourself just follow like a sheep for the rest of your life? Or are you going to stand up for, to create a world that you are proud of, to create a world that you are happy within? And yes, honoring your humanness as much as your divinity at the same time, but learning how to really navigate those paths and allowing yourself to walk that line of sovereignty and freedom, knowing that it comes from a space of joy and not from a space of where someone said to you, you've got to awaken now, you've got to wake up, okay? Or you've got to do it this way because that's how it's done. It doesn't work like that anymore. With the work that I do with Centaura, this is the modality, or it's not a modality, it's the frequency of God, the creative frequency of God. It is here teaching us how to be sovereign in our own beingness in every way and form, and making our own choices, and that we do have the choices and we can move forward.
I love it. I love it. And it's personal responsibility in that, like really, like that's where things change. When we take responsibility, we take the action, and the universe opens up in response. I wanted to finish off with the final, I guess, question for you women, but also for everyone who's watching as well. When we opened up this project, Warriors of Light, when we started, this whole conversation with our authors around writing their story and, tapping into their highest level transmission, we asked a question, and that question was, what is the movement that you believe you are here to birth upon the planet at this point in time? And I wholeheartedly know in my bones that every single one of us has a very particular and a very precise movement. And when I mean movement, I mean like the movement you are creating out in the world, the community that you are building, the conversation you are initiating, the whole higher level purpose upon why you are here and why you've experienced the things you've experienced, and how those experiences actually translate out there in the world with your medicine and your soul's magic that you are here to facilitate. I know for a lot of us who are in business, who are, very practiced with this, it's very kind of rolls off our tongue, this is what I'm here for. This is my purpose. This is what I believe I'm here to do. But I know for a lot of people out there, it is it's can kind of be this like amorphous thing, like, well, I don't know what my purpose is, I don't know what I'm here for. I'd love to ask each of you, maybe if we could keep it really quickly, like, short, so we can wrap up on the hour. Like, what is your advice for someone who is just embarking on this question? Like, what is the movement that I'm here to facilitate? How can I contribute to the awakening of planetary consciousness? And maybe we'll start with Steph, and then we'll work our way around. We'll go Steph, and then I'll call out the next person after that.
Oh, it's a big one. For someone who's just embarking, I think stay curious. A big piece of what I do with women in supporting them to actually understand themselves, as Natalie was just speaking about, understanding our humanness and our soul self and navigating them both together, is around looking at ourselves continuously with that bird's eye view and having curiosity. So not being fixed, not going, this is my path or this is what I'm meant to do. Stay curious till you figure out, like Sophie said, I love when she said, if we're going to do something that someone else tells us to do, then realize it's not the right thing, then the world's not going to be what it's, meant to be. Don't get so fixed that you feel too fragile to be able to shift. Stay curious. Stay curious about what you're learning. Stay curious about who you're connecting with, about what you're feeling about yourself, what's dropping in for you. Stay curious. Curiosity. Actually, I had a download the other day. I was going to write some content around. Curiosity is more powerful than belief. So there's a piece coming out about that, but that was, maybe it dropped in for this very moment. Curiosity is more powerful than belief.
And I love here what Claire says, you have to be still and be with yourself without any noise. So true. And like sitting with the desire to, avoid being alone or avoid being with oneself, which I know, earlier in my life, that was very, very true for me. What about you, Natalie? We'll go around, pop over to you. What would you say for someone who's just embarking on this journey of discovering their purpose and the movement that they feel they're on?
Yeah, for me, it's about finding your joy, staying in your joy. If you don't love what you're doing, don't do it. Okay, because then it just becomes monotonous, it becomes boring, and it just doesn't, it's not your magic, it's not your medicine, it's not, your wisdom doesn't radiate out from you, it doesn't shine. It just becomes this, put one step in front of the next foot, and it does not attract the people that you are here to serve and love and work with. And it is so profound when you truly step into your joy and you do what you came here to do with that absolute profound radical joy, and then you become unstoppable. And that doesn't, it's not a bad thing to be unstoppable. You then, it is the word radiate, you radiate your joy. So always do what you love. Find your joy in what you do.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful share. David, we'll pop over to you. There we go.
Well, I was thinking that what you were saying, Natalie, is something that I also feel, that following the joy is key. That that if it feels good for you, then go for it, no matter no matter what. And if it's not resonating, to really have that integrity within ourselves to say, this is really not for me because I'm not feeling it. And I feel this is a really great way of navigating life in general. If it feels good, it feels right, then it's for me. And if it doesn't, it's not for me. No more compromising, thinking, oh, I'm doing this, maybe I'll get the result even if I don't like this part. I feel like in every moment we have to take a line action, that feels good. And if it doesn't, whatever it is, even if you think it might take you to where you want, probably not. I feel we have this navigating system that's really a great way of going around. And and we start following, even if it doesn't make sense, if we start following our joy or excitement, then amazing things happen. So that will be my message.
Yeah, the body never lies, does it?
Yeah.
Jules, over to you.
For someone just embarking on their journey, I would say start getting really honest with yourself. So look at where you feel out of alignment, where you've been in avoidance with things, where you've just been operating on a surface level without really having intention behind it. And also start to unravel your conditioning and programming. So where you've just done things because that's what you're supposed to do, or because that's what everybody else does, or that's what you've been taught to do, or that's what mainstream does. Start really questioning, why am I actually doing this, and does it feel right for me?
I love that. I love that. That's real honesty. Hearing some great keywords here. I'm going to reflect them at the end. Thank you, Jules. Kirsty, sorry. We have a Christy and a Kirsty. It always does my head.
I know,
I have a little
confused. Yeah.
Over to you.
I feel, yeah, it's about following just naturally what you love to do, what comes naturally, what has been your life experience as well. And one thing, you know, whatever the difficulty has been that we've come here with, you know, the thing that has been the thing we haven't had, you know, like for me, it was health. So health was my greatest void, and then it's been my life's journey to make it my greatest value. So I feel like whatever is our void in life, what we came here with, becomes the thing that we can really master, the thing that we can help other people with.
I love that. 100% agree. It's like that quote, your mess is your medicine. And they say, you know, like 10,000 hours at a minimum to make someone a master of what they do. And, you know, the thing that you've, like you said, the thing that you've experienced in your life, whether that's health or relationship dramas or whatever it is, like think about how many hours have gone into mastering that aspect of your life, right? And, you know, staying curious and keeping that keeping that question open. I think that's a really, really beautiful thing. Thank you. Sophie.
Here I am. Well, as someone who is kind of like in the middle, I can only share from my own experience, like the thoughts that I've had for myself, that I've had to work with and sit with, is not feeling that you are missing out or like comparing to others, where others are, what they're doing, and just be okay that your timeline is your timeline, and not being like, oh, I missed out on that, I should have been onto that. Well, maybe that wasn't for you then. Maybe you have more to do, or yeah, your time will be there when it's ready. And also the fact that you can commit to something and you can embark on that, and then when you figure out that, oh, it's actually not serving me anymore, it's okay to stop. It's not a failure. You're not failing because you're changing your direction. So those are the things that I've kind of picked up the past few years that I still sit with today. Yeah,
really powerful. And yeah, like you said, you know, everyone's on their own journey and everyone's experiencing things in their own time and stepping into their power in their own time. And, you know, that journey in and of itself is a big one, isn't it? You know, I think we can all attest to that. It's a big journey, the journey of stepping into and embodying your power with courage, with grace, with ruthlessness. You know, there is a lot of unwinding and releasing that does need to happen in order to step into that. Like Jules, like you said, you know, bringing that honesty and that curiosity, connecting to your joy, you know, what feels good in my body, what doesn't feel good. Am I doing this just because I've already done, like it's always been done, or am I doing it because it feels good? You know, such wisdom here today. So I'm so grateful to all of you for speaking. I'm so grateful to all of you in the Facebook group who have been joining us live. I've had about 28 to 30 people dropping in and out, which is so awesome. Our beautiful book, Warriors of Light, it launches on Friday. So we are so grateful that you are here and that you are supporting us to build up this glorious momentum as we push up against our launch date. We will drop the links for the Amazon copy inside the Facebook group at 9 a.m. on Monday. Our book goes live initially as a Kindle, so it's super cheap. You can buy a copy for $1.50. All of the proceeds will go to support charity, a charity that we're picking at the moment. And yeah, your support is so appreciated. We have another roundtable today at 1 o'clock in 55 minutes, and that is on, oh my God, this is going to be so good, channeling the starseed energy and like really tapping into galactic frequencies. How can we open up and receive, channel forth galactic frequencies to support the ascension of the planet? We are initiating some very powerful conversations here over the next 5 days. And we really would love to hear what's alive within you. What is this evoking within you? What's the vision you believe is possible for the Great Awakening? And importantly, what's the movement and the mission that you individually are on to support that Great Awakening within yourself, your family, and the wider planet? Thank you very much. You'll be seeing more of us throughout the week. Have a great morning.